Missouri unranked in the coaches poll. What do the Tigers have to do to get some respect around here? Well, I'll just tell you why I think Missouri is better than the nation. Coming up right now on Locked On Mizzou.
You are Locked On Mizzou, your daily podcast on the Missouri Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, all you true sons and daughters, I'm John Miller, your Mizzou mafioso and the central scrutinizer of Missouri Tigers football and basketball. On today's program, I want to talk about what a potential college football playoff berth, if that happens this season, what that would really mean for the Missouri football program. Going to talk about that, and also why actually I think Beau Pribula's skill set may fit this particular team more than Sam Horn. But you know what? I also want to tell you today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first ticket purchase. And as I speak here today, Missouri is going to have a scrimmage and another one on Saturday as well. So it'll be interesting to hear from Eli Drinkwitz following those two things. And I'll talk some more about, well, Drinkwitz's comments about the team. He hasn't given us a whole lot so far, but what little he has, I'll talk about that later in the program as well. But you know what? Missouri, according to Natalie Jones, who put this out there recently on her social media from ABC 17, Missouri unranked in the coaches poll. And after being ranked 12th in the SEC by the media at media days, I think a lot of Missouri fans were somewhat insulted by that. I was a little bit surprised by how low that number was, but maybe I shouldn't have been, because when you look at the numbers, well, Missouri's 11th by the numbers. If you look at at least the S&P Plus projections that I like to look at a lot. But again, 11th out of 16 teams in the SEC. Well, Missouri, again, context as always, just like with the schedule here, folks, context is king. Well, even though Missouri's 11th out of 16 SEC teams, they're 21st in the country. And I think if this were truly the 21st best team in the country at the end of the season, I don't know that a lot of Missouri fans would be upset by that. And yet the 11th, the 12th out of 16 just kind of shocked people's systems a little bit. And the thing is, with those projections, as much as I like those numbers, here's where I disagree with the numbers a little bit. Last season, Missouri was 24th by those same numbers offensively. Well, predicted to fall to 41st offensively this season, while the defense is projected to remain about the same strong unit that it was last season, just inside the top 25 or so. But again, here's where I disagree. I just don't think that Missouri is going to fall off that much offensively. I think, if anything, Missouri will be a similar offensive unit to what it was last season. If anything, I think there is a chance that Missouri is a little bit better in 2025 offensively. I think there's a better chance of that than there being a fairly dramatic fall off, which is what the projections seem to hint at here. Now, the interesting thing about this Missouri offense is it does have a lot of starting experience. A lot of it, though, comes from other programs. Kevin Coleman probably being the most notable example there, a guy who's played a whole bunch of college football across the country, including in the SEC last season at Mississippi State. Well, again, that experience just simply hasn't come with Missouri. And you can't guarantee that guys like Coleman are going to be as good at Missouri as they were at other stops. But generally speaking, I think Missouri's done as well as just about any program in the country at taking new guys who are from other staffs, from other programs, obviously, and getting them with the program, if you will, getting them ingrained into the Missouri culture and structure and get into the locker room, however you want to put it. The point is, it seems like when guys like Nate Noel, for instance, guys like who was on the team last year at running back, that gives me a lot of confidence since he was productive, I have a lot of confidence that Ahmad Hardy will come in and do the exact same thing in terms of he'll come in and be a productive player. I think Hardy's going to be even better than Noel. The point is, I think Missouri not only does a good job of finding talent in the portal, I think they do a good job of finding talent that fits what they like to do. Hardy being a great example, a guy who is a one-cut-and-go type of runner who fits that outside zone scheme perfectly. He ran it all the time last season. I think Missouri is smart enough to figure out how to use him, and I just think that Missouri overall offensively, I just don't see them regressing that much, because while Missouri definitely had its moments offensively last year, the South Carolina game comes to mind for sure, even though that was a loss by the Tigers. Well, it definitely had its down moments as well, especially when Brady Cook was banged up and battling injuries and even missed some time there during the middle of the season. So to me, if I think that this offense is going to be, I think, at least similarly productive to 2024, and I think the defense has a chance to actually be better. Again, this is year 2 of Corey Batoon. I'm expecting this defense will have a little bit more of a Batoon feel to it versus last year. It's felt like much more of still a Blake Baker style of defense. It just didn't seem like much changed from 23 to 24 for better or for worse. And I just think in 25 we'll see maybe some more wrinkles from Corey Batoon that makes this defense a little bit more of his. And overall, I just think Missouri's loaded in the front seven. I think the back end, they have some really interesting pieces that they've added in the portal as well. And I just think this has a chance to not only be a top 25 type of defense like it's been each of the last 3 seasons, I believe, but I think it could be a top 10 nationally type of defense. I really think it could be that good. And if that's the case, well, I think Missouri is going to be a complete pain in the ass for just about anybody in the country to play, including Alabama, who's going to come into Missouri in week 7, I believe, Missouri's 6th game of the season. At that point, I think I know this. I think Missouri is going to be able to run the football and chuck it deep on occasion. With, again, Kevin Coleman, we know Marquise Johnson is one of the best deep ball guys in the country. To me, it just seems like the dink and chunk offense is back in a good way. The 2023 type of offense, it's going to come down to the offensive line. It's going to come down to quarterback play on just how good this offense really is. But I think Missouri, again, is going to be able to run the ball. It's going to be able to control the clock. It's going to be able to play good defense. And they've got a field goal kicker who can nail them from 55 yards plus. We've seen that multiple times as well. That's a pretty good recipe for winning close ball games. I think if you're Beau Pribula or Sam Horn, I think the biggest thing is take care of the football, be a game manager. And in the very, very little we've had and gotten to see from Sam Horn over the years, he does strike me as a bit more of a risk taker and a gunslinger than Beau Pribula was, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, by the way. Confidence is great. But I think this team needs more of a game manager, to be honest with you. So that's just how I'm feeling right now, and all of those elements add up to me to be a Missouri team that is a little bit underestimated right now. And even over at FanDuel Sportsbook, in a very unusual move, they have lowered Missouri's win total from 7.5 down to 6.5. Now, if you're going to go over, you're paying minus 170, so it's not great odds there. But the point is, that's a pretty rare move for FanDuel to actually move a season win total like that. For them to move it down a number, man, that just surprises me, I have to admit. There must be somebody who doesn't believe in Missouri out there who's throwing some money behind it or something. But I'll just say it's not me. I'm a believer in the over, and I'm a believer in Missouri this season being better than what the nation thinks and even better than what the projections are saying. I don't totally understand the huge dip and drop-off in Missouri's offense, which to me was, I don't know, maybe a little bit overrated, a little bit little bit better than people are remembering correctly, in my opinion. Again, this is just my angle. And coming up, let's talk about what that elusive college football playoff appearance would mean for not only Missouri, but lots of other major blue blood type of programs that have not made an appearance themselves. I think that list is as telling as anything. And also Eli Drinkwitz, I think, gave us some pretty good hints on a couple of starters at really important positions on the football field. So let's talk about all that here in just a little bit. But you know what? It's time to fuel up and turn it up with a 5-hour energy transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, by the way, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And I have to admit, I played a pretty good side yesterday and was out celebrating probably a little bit too much. So you know what helped me for this podcast? You guessed it. It's 5-hour energy. And if you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-hour energy shots today. And true freshman receiver Donovan Olubade has been getting a lot of hype here this offseason, including on this podcast. But it did seem like when asked about Olubade a day or two ago, Eli Drinkwitz seemed to throw a little bit of cold water, not only on him, but I think just the younger players in general, saying freshmen have got to learn how to practice. And with all of that in mind, I think there were three guys, well, actually four. That tells me there's one guy I haven't talked enough about, I think, this offseason, and that's transfer receiver Xavier Loyd simply because Loyd came from, I believe, Southern Illinois, maybe Illinois State. Here, let me look this up really quick. In fact, Xavier Loyd. Yes, Illinois State and Kansas State he was at one point in his career as well. But yes, Illinois State was Xavier Loyd's previous school, Blue Springs High School guy, by the way. But he's somebody I haven't talked enough about, and maybe simply because, unlike Donovan Olubade, hey, he's a big-time, flashy high school player, IMG Academy. Obviously, Xavier Loyd coming from Illinois State, not as much hype. But you know what he does have? A ton of experience, a lot more than Donovan Olubade does, for example. And I just thought it was noteworthy that along with the veterans Kevin Coleman and Josh Manning and Marquise Johnson, Xavier Loyd was specifically mentioned by Drinkwitz as a guy doing the things that he's not necessarily seeing, that he needs to see from those true freshmen or redshirt freshmen, younger players type of wide receivers on the team. So again, Xavier Loyd, a guy I'm starting to think is going to play maybe more than I think you would imagine based on how little I've brought his name up on the podcast. So that is my mistake there. But some other interesting hints I thought given to us by Drinkwitz. I thought basically he said that Javen Richardson is looking like the top left tackle right now. He said he's gone predominantly with the ones. Johnny Williams, the transfer from West Virginia, says he thinks he's had a really good camp as well, but says he's basically pleased with both players. But to me, it does seem like Javen Richardson has the lead right now. The good news is, he says, so far we haven't noticed them. It's good when you're not noticing the left tackle, and he says he just thinks Kirby Moore's done a good job with chip blocks and stuff like that, but doesn't sound overly concerned about the tackle position whatsoever, which is a good thing, and again, just shows you how much I think Drinkwitz just simply values experience. Both of those guys have quite a bit of experience, just not necessarily with Missouri, especially in Williams' case. And it also sounds like Kevin Coleman, who I brought up as a veteran receiver in the SEC and around the country. Same goes as a punt returner as well. And though I thought Sean Terry, who is going to get some opportunities there at punt returner, again, another true freshman, a really, really explosive player, thought he might have a shot at winning that job. But it really sounds like the veteran Coleman, who was quite productive as a punt returner as well, sounds like he's going to get the nod. And that does make all the sense in the world. That is a position where you don't want to have any mistakes made. And, well, as Drink would say, hey, freshmen have got to learn how to practice. Sometimes they have to learn how to make good decisions back there with punt returns as well. They can get a little excited wanting to, get the band striked up and impress their girlfriend and all that good stuff. So I think, again, just another one of many examples of how much I think Drinkwitz values experience and decision-making, putting the experienced Kevin Coleman back as your punt returner. And you know what? Caden Green, Missouri's starting left guard, has some experience at the tackle position as well. And talking about, his fellow teammates there, left tackles, he's talking about Javen Richardson, who, again, I'm thinking has a bit of the edge here as your starting left tackle at the moment. Caden Green says, oh, Javen, he's night and day better than he was last season. I think his pass protection, that is, has really improved, and he's always been a really good run blocker, but he's really improved his pass protection. He's just put an emphasis on that in the offseason, so he looks night and day better. And he says the same thing, exactly the same thing about Johnny Williams as well, looking night and day better than he did in the spring. So that's good to hear. You wonder sometimes how much of everything is coach speak. You also wonder, hey, what's he going to badmouth his teammates to the press, something like that? But that just seemed pretty candid there from Caden Green in this particular case. Also had a ton of nice things to say about the three true freshman offensive linemen who have shown up, Keaton Jones, Jack Lang, and also Henry Fanuku as well, saying Keaton, he's like a freak, strong as an ox, maybe even two of them. Jack, he's got length like nobody else. Yeah, they're just really good. And really, I think all three of those guys, as Caden Green is alluding to there, have the physical traits to be potential NFL players one day. Whether they'll actually get there, like Armand Membou did, I think very similarly to Armand Membou, when as soon as he showed up, you just knew immediately he had the type of physical traits that someday, if he works his butt off, gets his, again, the pass pro technique down and all that good stuff, all the subtleties of the position that go into that, you just knew that he was the type of guy who could maybe get to the NFL someday. Obviously, that ended up happening. Will it happen for Jack Lang or Keaton Jones or Fanuku? I don't know. The odds are one of them probably will, though. So I think if you're Missouri, obviously you just try to get as many athletic big bodies as you can, and hopefully just Brandon Jones can coach him up with that outside zone scheme and, well, the all-important pass pro, of course. And, even though Missouri has never made the college football playoff, Tigers have some pretty good company with some historically great programs that haven't done it either. So let's take a look at that and, again, talk about what it would mean if the Tigers could pull it off. And also a closer look at the one-score games from the last couple seasons. And, my goodness, remember that Middle Tennessee game from 2023? You probably barely do, but I'm going to remind you, and it's a good reminder, I think, for all of us. So let's talk about that here in a bit. But we've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever to go find tickets to some type of event. Well, stop it. Just use Gametime. That's where Gametime comes in. No more stress. It's going to be just nothing but chilling at the ballpark, because prices actually drop as it gets closer to game time, by the way, and you can save up to 60% off. And with killer last-minute deals at Gametime. For example, hey, the Cardinals and the Cubbies coming to Busch Stadium this weekend. Some great deals over at Gametime right now. Get-in prices are about as cheap as you're going to find this time of year, so take the guesswork out of buying baseball, concert tickets, any types of tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. What do Florida, Southern Cal, Auburn, and Miami, Florida have in common? Well, if you said they're all multiple-time national champions, you would be correct. But you could also say that those programs have never had a college football playoff appearance. So that gives them something in common with Missouri, who was pretty close the last couple of seasons. LSU, Florida State, and Penn State, by the way, have each just made it once each. So that tells you how big. I think right there, just that company tells you how massive it would be if Missouri were simply just even able to get into the college football playoff this season or the following season. But let's just focus on 2025 because obviously, hey, another couple. That would then be 3 straight 10-win seasons. I mean, now you're talking about young kids are thinking about Missouri in a much different fashion. Now you're talking about the types of kids that you're recruiting were, essentially 12 years old the last time Missouri wasn't part of the national conversation, or even younger than that. The point is, they don't even really remember or care. That's how, Florida, congratulations. Auburn, congratulations on your 2010 national championship. In my mind, that seems like yesterday, that Cam Newton run. But 15 years ago to somebody who is 15 might as well be 150 years ago. So that is how important it would be. If Missouri makes a college football playoff, no matter how they do it, no matter if it's with a weak schedule, if they do it by going 10-1 in one-score games as they've done over the last few seasons, if they go 5-0 in one-score games and get a little bit lucky as they did more than once over the last couple of seasons, well, guess what? There's going to be no asterisk. Nobody's going to remember or care how Missouri did it. Again, the thing of flags fly forever, championships, fly forever, that type of deal, that's more or less the same mentality of making the college football playoff. It's just going to vault Missouri into another discussion. It's the next step that obviously Brian Kelly and LSU want to make. It's the next step that Penn State made last season, and that was a huge deal for James Franklin and company. It would be a massive, massive, massive deal for Eli Drinkwitz and this Missouri football program if they could just simply get in there and, again, get off the list with historically great programs like Southern Cal and Florida, Miami, that have never made the CFP. If Missouri can get in there before those teams do, you're telling me that's not an enormous deal? Of course it would be. I think we can all realize that. But I just think, again, those major teams there, along with, again, other programs like Wisconsin, for example, another really good program that has never made a college football playoff. If Missouri can vault in there before those teams, that would make such a massive statement and could pay dividends for years into the future. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Mizzou. Thanks for making this show your first listen every day. For your second listen, check out the portal with Brian Smith and be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football universe. Find the portal on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. So until next time, I'm John Miller. This has been Locked On Mizzou.